Okay, we're going to step it up to a slightly harder block here. This is the 2x2x3 shoe. It's going to be a little bit more complicated, but nothing too crazy. Let's go ahead and start a new design. And we're going to do something a little different. Up till now, we've only ever worked in the top plane. This time we're actually going to work in the right plane. So I'm going to go ahead and click this plane back here. And you'll notice my little view cube here will show right to confirm that. Now, we're going to choose to create the side profile of this guy and extrude him that way. So to do this, I'm going to create this strange shape here. It really is just a square or a rectangle with like a corner sliced off. Now, I've given you guys these dimensions in class, but this is how we're going to apply them. So a good rule of thumb with Fusion or any CAD really is to kind of start with your smallest dimension first. That's going to keep you from breaking things. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The very front of this thing is actually 1.2 millimeters, and I did not really pay attention to how big I made this thing. So you're going to see this is going to jump around a good bit. Sorry about that, but it is getting kind of late. So the next one, or the next largest one, is going to be 7.8 millimeters, and that's going to be the top up here. Now we can just kind of go around. If we do this back edge, it's going to be 9.6. You can see it's jumped around a good bit. I'm going to try and keep it in frame. Now we've got this bottom edge as well. This one's going to be a 2-stud brick, so that's going to be 15.8. I'm not using the formulas for this one. I'm not going to generate anything else or amend this in any way. I can just type them explicitly for these blocks. All right. This is all dimension. You'll notice I didn't have to add anything to the diagonal. It took care of that on its own. So that's something you should pay attention to. Go ahead and hit finish sketch. I'm going to turn this a little bit just so you guys can see what's happening here. I'm going to click extrude and I'm going to expand or extrude this profile. It's going to be 15.8. Again, we're just turning this thing to the side and looking at it from its right side. And we can make a block any which way. There's no real particular thing here. But we're going to follow the same procedure we've done. So we've got our basic shape here. We're going to click the top surface and we're going to make our studs. We want to do those before we do any shelling so that we get those little thermal release divots that we've talked about out of the way. So 4.8 is here. And we're going to go to the top edge. That's going to be 3.9. And we're going to do 3.9 to the perpendicular edge here as well. And that should lock our stud in, or our sketch for our stud rather. And then we'll go to our pattern tool. Again, I could hand draw one of these. It would not take me very long, but I want to practice the rectangular pattern tool as much as I can. All right, so I now have that array done. It's a very simple one. Let's go ahead and finish this sketch and then hit extrude, and you'll notice that we're going to put it up the same way, or extrude it up the same amount we always do, which is 1.7 millimeters. Now I can look at the bottom of this object and I can go to my shell command and I can shell this to be 1.2. And you can see there's those little divots I was talking about. Remember, those are there to make sure your studs don't stay molten after you inject them, so that the whole brick cools the same period, or in the same period of time. All right, so normally we would kind of create our snap ring sketch down here. We're actually going to change that up a bit here. We're going to do it from this edge right here, and it's just going to simplify our life a little bit. So we have the discretion to do that sort of thing, and we're going to do it this time. A ring is really just a circle and then a circle. There's nothing crazy here. You notice I just sort of plopped it down. I didn't spend a lot of time making sure it's perfect, anything like that. I just get it down and I use my dimension tool. So I'm going to do it 7.9 to the closest edge, or to an edge rather. And I need to do it to a perpendicular edge. I'm going to choose this one right here and make that 7.9. So those should be centered. Now, remember, I've given you guys that the outer diameter here is going to be 6.25 millimeters, and the inner one is going to be 5 millimeters. That should accommodate our stud dimensions quite nicely. All right, so you can see that that has been done. I can finish this sketch and I can go into my extrude and I can click in between those two circles and I can go to to object and I can click this bottom surface and uh-oh, I have a problem, sort of, right? So you can see that because that extrusion intersects with the block, or the body of the block, it's going to automatically turn it over to cut. I want to change that. So I can override that right here. I'm going to change that to join and hit OK. I do have another problem now. I have this kind of extra surface here that I don't really want. Well, thankfully, it's very easy to take care of that in Fusion. If I just come here and click this cylindrical face that's kind of poking out, and I look around here and make sure nothing else is selected, I should be okay. And now I can go through, right click this and delete, and you'll notice that that's gone, and just the objects that I want are here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip all of the material applying, all that, and just go straight to the drawing because I think most of you are going to want to see that. So let me go ahead and title this thing real quick. Remember, I'm titling this a shoe block. So let's go ahead and do that. And is it going to go? Yeah, there it goes. Sorry, it was a little laggy. I'm going to change this over to ASME. Remember, that's our class style guide. So we're just going to leave everything else here, millimeters. A B-size sheet is fine. A little big, but it'll work for us. All right, so you'll notice that my project is filled in there. My title of my block is in there. If you look very closely down here at the bottom, you'll see that my name populated in here. Oh, I did not do a good job of showing that. Let me try that again. There we go. You can see my name and the date that I created this is in there. So that's going to be quite useful. All right, now I'm going to place this block, but I don't like how this is showing because it's showing me kind of a plain edge here. Let me plop him down and you'll see why I'm going to change this real quick just to get the best possible view. So let me turn off all the stuff that defaults on mine. All right, so if I come in and I use my projected view, you'll see that I kind of get what I want, but when I do my little isometric view, it sort of shows me the back side of this. I don't really like that. Let me go ahead and undo that. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'll go back to base view. I'll put this down. I'm going to actually have it select the right side view this time to start with. And I'm going to go through and make sure all this stuff is turned off again. I really need to set my defaults up here, but it's been a little bit busy this year. So I've got that placed down. Now I'm going to use my project tool here and I'm going to lay this one out and I should get a slightly better view here. Go ahead and change some of these. I actually want this one to be something like 4 times bigger. And I want some shading here so I can see some detail. These I'm fine with. You'll notice that I have all my views out here. So let's go ahead and start dimensioning and see if we can finish this video up pretty quick. Now, again, this is a very rudimentary drawing format. This is mostly to get you guys familiar with the process. We'll crank this up as we do some more stuff later on in the semester, but we just really want to get you guys used to making drawings. So I haven't made it too particular yet, but do expect that to happen here. Oh, let's get these guys to this edge here. And remember, your goal is to just show everything you would need to recreate this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave off here.